Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host. I'm so glad you're here joining us today. I'm with my co-explorer, Amy Long.
Hi.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And we have a nice, fun, and reflective, but still informative show for you, we hope. We're going to take a look back at this past travel season and some of our favorite trips, destinations that maybe surprised us in both a positive or maybe a negative way. And a little bit later on in the show, we're going to take a look back at one of our favorite episodes, one of our most popular guest interviews from this past season of shows. And that has to do with the best beaches in the world from one of our experts at Lonely Planet. So that is always interesting, whatever you can dial it in for people and really get expert advice and opinions on, you know, where people should visit and just kind of a little daydream fuel, I guess, as well. So that no surprise there why it remains one of our most popular interviews. So, we are lucky enough that you and I together, Amy, we travel a bit for our livelihoods and our jobs and professions and everything. So we spend a lot of time on the road, but we are not one of those couples that we spend 100% of the time on the road.
Right. I think we travel maybe once a month. You have a few months where you'll travel maybe 2 weeks back to back. I typically don't travel quite as much, but when I do travel for work, I'm gone for a little bit longer period of time. But I think both of us traveled somewhere between 15 and 20 times this year, some of those together and some of those separately. Mm-hmm. And when you come to the end of the year and you're thinking back on everything you did, we started listing it out. And it's like this list just kept growing and growing and growing of all the places that we've gone this year. Yeah,
where eventually when we start looking back at it, we have to cut out a little bit of the work stuff.
Right.
Like, we technically went to here, but it was just like a quick turnaround work trip and we didn't really go see anything or whatever.
Right.
And you start having to classifying it that way. And, I look at it and go, just this past season alone, we went some really fantastic places, but we're also of the mindset that we love being home too.
I do.
Which makes travel, doing a travel show kind of difficult sometimes, unless you are lucky enough like we are and live in one of the most attractive visiting places in the world in Las Vegas.
Yeah. People come here from all over the world every single day and we get to live here. We don't typically hang around those touristy places, but we do go down there sometimes. But Vegas is home for us and we enjoy living here, but we do enjoy getting out and seeing the world, seeing things even just in our own backyard. But after being gone last month, we traveled for about 10 days straight. And then we came home. We were both so happy to sleep in our own bed. We have reached that age where certain creature comforts, you have to have them. Yeah. And like our very nice mattress and pillows, you can't just take those on the road with you always. So it's nice to come home to our home, our bed. But now we've been here a few weeks and we're already looking forward to that next trip.
Yeah, it is. It becomes, I don't want to say an addiction because addiction sounds bad. It is a part of a certain lifestyle and it's something that it's not for everyone, And so I think shows like this kind of dive sometimes a little deep into this is for people who just want to go. When actually, whenever we set out with Unscaled and everything that we were doing in the travel world, it was more about just being informative about the trips that you get to take. Sometimes people only get to take that 1 week of vacation or whatever that is, especially here if you're in the U.S. I know Europeans are a little bit different. They get a larger time frame and everything. So we want and hope that our show would help. Like whenever you pick us up, no matter what it is or what season you're in, that at least inspires you to, I hate the term get off the beaten path, but kind of leave that behind every once in a while. I understand comforts. I understand, hey, I like staying at Hilton. You know what I'm saying? But, sometimes you want to go down different alleyways and,
You get mad at me when I go down different alleyways.
Together with someone responsible.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
just getting in the back of some guy's van
Oh,
with
please.
free candy in Liechtenstein. Anyway, so getting, not waxing poetically, but looking at some of our trips. We did get to go overseas, do some international travel this season. Switzerland, Aruba, Canada, some different areas. Do you have any top or favorite destinations from this season of travel, and why?
Well, I have to say our most recent trip, and maybe it's because it's most fresh in my mind, but our trip to Switzerland is at the top of my list right now. But it's because we didn't just stay in Switzerland. We got that train pass and we hit 5 other countries. So in a week, we went to 6 different countries, 2 of which we'd been to before, but the other 3 we didn't even know we were going to. And it was kind of a spontaneous, let's just hop on this train and go kind of thing. And I love that. I'm a planner and I kind of enjoy those spontaneous moments when we do something unplanned because I haven't over researched it and taken kind of the luster out of it. I'm getting to see it with extremely fresh eyes. And I loved that.
Yeah, we really did have a lot of fun on that journey. And part of it was that, that's probably a good way to look at it is how we plan things. And we've perfected it to our level of perfection over the years once we started traveling. Now, we started traveling later in life and everything, but we have a good mix, I think, and we've mentioned this before, of a little bit of planning with a little bit of room to just improvise for those trips that we just, hey, this looks fun. Let's go and do this, and not necessarily have everything planned out. And especially on the Switzerland trip, that was, one of the best days was going down, and we ended up going into 4 different countries, initially I think chasing Christmas markets.
Yeah.
But really, we were just going and just getting caught up in going to Liechtenstein, then hopping a bus and going to Austria, then hopping a little train and going into Germany, and then earlier going into France and down into Italy, and just these kind of little motions that we get to go on through these little side adventures.
Yeah.
I think the younger kids call them side quests now. And, it's like, we had our pre-planned things, the things that we bought tickets for. And then we had days like this, which really end up being some of the highlights and top memories from some of our trips together.
Yeah, I think you just have to take advantage of opportunities. And that's what we've learned to do. Don't be so rigid in your vacation plans that you miss doing something else really fun.
Yeah.
So we spent that last day let's just go. Let's just see. Oh, we're only 30 minutes from another country. Let's go into that country. Oh, we're only 30 minutes from the next country. Let's go into that one. It was such a fun day. And that's probably right now of the 15 trips I went on, that was probably my number 1 day of all vacation.
Does anything, from that day stand out, or was it, I was there along with you, but was there anything, before we go to break here, anything that just kind of stands out to you?
I would say it was when we went to Feldkirch, Austria, and we just stumbled upon their little Christmas market, but it was such a beautiful area. And this market that we didn't even know was there. And we stopped at the end of the road and looked down and saw the market and the beautiful chapel and the snow-covered mountains in the background. And it struck me. I don't know how else to say it. But yeah, that's probably something I don't think I'll ever forget.
And I think that was one of my favorite moments, is that we weren't even honestly planning on going to a Christmas market at that particular stop. And in fact, that stop was just something we kind of looked at the map and say, well, let's get off the bus here and we'll figure out where we are and then just kind of go from there. So it ended up being a really, really fun time. So this is the Unscaled Travel Show. We're talking about our year in travel and review, basically. All right, keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
We're coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, and we are chatting about our travel year in review, some of the best places we've been, some of the things we've seen, and we're just kind of having a nice little end-of-the-year conversation, kind of looking back on the things not only the places we've gone, but maybe some a little bit later on when the eggnog starts flowing, what we've learned from these trips and everything. So, like you said a little bit earlier, we have taken a number of trips this year. I think you took about 15 trips. I took, 16. And it's a good mix. Mm-hmm. We have trips not only right here around Las Vegas, that yes, we do consider trips. We do consider that travel, but also domestically here in the U.S. and internationally. So we were talking about Switzerland, but some of our favorite destinations from this year. I'm going to see your Switzerland. Okay. Mm-hmm. I really like your Switzerland. That was a good country to visit and the surrounding areas. I'm going to go with Aruba.
Okay. Why?
Aruba was really nice because it was, I think, outside of different peninsulas in Mexico, it was our first foray into the Caribbean.
Yes.
For as long as we've been, we lived in Texas for a number of years. We lived out here in Vegas, and it's really easily accessible. And there's tons of beautiful islands, but we just hadn't, up until this year, made it to the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. I guess we did venture out on a cruise ship once, but we didn't really do anything. It was a really weird trip. But Aruba. Right. We got invited down, and it was really special because it was a press trip for us, full disclosure. They invited us down to come see the island and check everything out. And so that often it can skew you one way or another when you're presented those kind of options. But we went down there, and our first honest kind of look at Aruba was like, wow, this is not what I, number one, pictured.
Exactly.
Because I don't know why, but most people, I think even on one of the recent movies of Red One, the one with The Rock and Chris Evans, and those guys, they have a point where they go like, oh, their scene is supposed to be in Aruba. And as soon as it popped up, we were both like, that's not Aruba. Man.
No, and I immediately knew they are somewhere much more tropical. Yeah. And they were in Hawaii because Aruba does not look that way. No. Aruba's still beautiful, but it was not what I was picturing.
Yeah. And I think that's one of my points is that we think everything in the Caribbean, there are islands that look more like that, like the Hawaiian island and everything. But Aruba is actually more of a desert, arid island. They don't have, unless they imported, those tall palm trees and different things of that nature. So when I got there, stupid American, I got there and I was like, this doesn't look like what I always pictured. I mean, the water was beautiful. Yeah. The weather, when it held up, was beautiful. But the island itself didn't look, and I was, for the first little bit, honestly, I was a little bit disappointed. Mm-hmm. We were in Resort Corridor. There's nothing wrong with that. We have that here in Vegas. But I was like, man, this is not, the beaches were fantastic, but this is still a little bit disappointing to me. I guess disappointing might be a hard word too, but it wasn't until we booked a trip to get away from all of that and go see how beautiful the island is and see some of the natural places around the island. Yeah. That really things kind of perked up for both of us.
I agree. Aruba has lovely beaches and it's very westernized. And I just was picturing something else. But when we got on that UTV tour and we went to the other side of the island where the resorts are not, you got to see the actual appeal of going to Aruba. And we had a really fun time that day, even though it did rain on us. It always rains. But we had a really fun time that day. And I feel like that was the highlight of that trip.
Yeah, it was fun kind of getting away and it fits the whole motif, I guess, of at least one of the things we've learned over the last couple of seasons of travel for us is that getting away from the ordinary, getting out of the comfort zone. And I understand when people have a certain amount of vacation, they're like, hey, I want to go to the hotel and sit by the pool and drink pina coladas because I just need to unwind. I understand that. I co-sign that wholeheartedly, right? It's after that. Once you need something else, once you're looking for something else, it's that switch from becoming a vacationer to a traveler.
Right. Which we did lay by the pool one whole afternoon.
Absolutely.
Had drinks, played some poolside bingo, and won some
more free drinks.
Some more free drinks. Yeah. That was fun. But when we were like, okay, there has to be more to Aruba than this beach and this pool, and we got out and it was a spontaneous thing too to book that tour. So I think what I think is when we just decide in the moment we're going to go get out and see something away from those touristy areas, that's when we really start enjoying our travel.
There was a moment we went parasailing and we were up and I'm like hanging on for dear life because my fat butt is like slipping out of this harness. It probably wasn't, but that's what I felt like.
Well, when the guys on the boat ask you how much you weigh together and then start adding it up and looking at each other going back and forth.
I know what that is in Spanish, bro. Like, come on, man.
You're like, should we just ride individually? Just tell us. We can take it.
I ain't going to die for this. But like, you're up in the air and you start seeing past the resorts and you start seeing the different vegetation and the hills and everything. And Aruba's not a huge island.
Right.
It's not. And so you can kind of see around it. And I was looking around going, where's all of that?
Yeah.
I want to go to there. I appreciate the hotel stuff, and the Embassy Suites Hilton that we stayed in was beautiful. I absolutely love that hotel, but I wanted to go somewhere else,
right.
And it took a little bit of work, all of Googling to like find an adventure that would take us away from there. And I think that's when it really sealed it for me on this particular thing. Like, I really love this place, and I can't wait to go back to the island.
Right. We really did end up having a really enjoyable trip, even though some things happened during that trip that were, I would say, I wouldn't use the word disappointing, but I would say less than ideal. But, we've learned to make the most of our trips. Even we get rained on almost every single trip we go on. And now we just kind of lean into it. We take umbrellas, we take ponchos, we take rain jackets, and we're just like, we're going to walk in the rain. We don't care at this point.
Or we just buy it while we're there if we forget it. Man, we have this wonderful collection of ponchos and umbrellas now
from around the world,
from beautiful destinations around the world, because we can't seem to remember to bring ours anywhere we go. And that's, it's part of learning to be flexible.
But I think part of that's also we live in a place where it never rains. So we don't, when we're packing, don't think about, it might rain, even though we tell everybody else, always bring your umbrella.
Yeah,
we forget ours.
I think this year in Vegas, there was a streak of like almost 155 days where it didn't rain. And so like you forget. You honestly start going, what? Like, what is this stuff falling from the sky? It's a real inconvenience to everything else I have planned for the day. But you just learn to kind of, and Vegas, we've said it before on the show time and time again, that living in Vegas kind of numbs you to some things. The glitz and glamour and the tourist traps, you start seeing right past it going, okay, I got to have something else on this trip because I didn't travel all this way for what I could do 20 minutes away from my house. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. Folks, stay right here. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hi.
For all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com. They're all right there. 89-something episodes or so currently. And all kinds of wonderful interviews, including one from earlier this year that we're going to kind of reintroduce to people in just a little bit about the best beaches in the world from one of our Lonely Planet experts and guests from early this year. So you want to stick around and check that out.
Yeah. Well, so we were talking about 2 international trips we went on, but you and I also went on a number of trips here in the U.S., everywhere from New York to LA to San Francisco. And multiple places in between. So of the places you and I went together inside the U.S., which was your favorite trip?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because we took some spontaneous, there you go. Don't know the words. Spontaneous trips, especially when it comes around for our trips, just day trips out here. I would say my favorite was our just kind of unplanned trip to Death Valley.
Oh.
Death Valley National Park. We have lived in Vegas for over 10 years now. And Death Valley was one of those areas that we immediately were like, hey, we're going to go see Death Valley. And 10 years later, we still hadn't seen Death Valley. We've driven by it a number of times.
We've seen the sign many, many times from the highway.
Going up to Reno, going into California, different things. And we've never actually gone and visited the park until this year. And I am kind of upset that it took us 10 years because it is a beautiful place to go check out. Just so many natural desert features. It's from like Badwater Basin, which is like the lowest point in elevation in the United States. And, some of the driest land out there. In the summer, it's like super hot. Like I don't recommend people go out there, but they do it all the time for those really, really hot days. But I mean, it was so fun and it was so last minute. I think we decided like the night before, hey, let's go out here finally. And it's about 2.5 hours or so northwest of Las Vegas, and well worth it.
That is not the trip I thought you would say.
Which one?
I don't know. I mean, because we went to New York for our 20th anniversary, and we had a really fun day when we went down to Coney Island, and we rode the Cyclone roller coaster, and we walked the boardwalk, and then we went to a Yankees game, and then we also went to LA for a weekend and did the Warner Brothers studio tour, which we both really, really enjoyed.
And all of those are really fun. And, I had a really good time doing all of that stuff. But I think it's more of our spontaneous.
You can't say it.
Why can't I say this word? Oh, my gosh. So, yes, it's part of that.
Spontaneous.
Yes. Every time I need to say that word, I'm just going to point at you and you need to say it. But like, it's just part of that thing that we've learned over the last couple of years of just, being a little bit less rigid with what our plans are and just kind of getting out and exploring the areas around us that maybe we've always had on the list. And we do keep almost a running list of places that we want to go, including restaurants and places here in Vegas, because it's always changing. But those kind of places that like, okay, they've been on there for a long time. Yeah. The other one would probably be, those other places were great, would be Lake Havasu in Arizona.
That's what I was going to say. Another spontaneous trip. Night before, we're like, let's get in the car and go.
Yeah. And we went down there for like 2 nights. We rented a boat. We did all kinds of things. We have they should have never given us a boat. I still have back problems.
It was a tiny little boat. Tiny little boat.
It turned out to be a really fun trip. In a really beautiful place.
That I was not expecting it to be beautiful at all.
And it was one that has been on our list forever that we just, for whatever reason, we just could never make it work, or we just never just got in the car and drove. And then even the trip within that trip to Lake Havasu was through Oatman, Arizona, where it's just land of the free roaming donkeys and
burros.
Oh, burros, yes.
They're very particular. Not the burros, the people in these towns.
The burros are probably particular about being called donkeys too. But the burros too are just wild and roaming free and everything. And that was a fun little side quest within a side quest. And so it's little moments like that.
I think this goes back to what you mentioned earlier, that a lot of people don't think traveling like within an hour or 2 radius of where they live, they don't consider that traveling. But you and I have learned like just getting out and seeing things, even if it's 30 minutes away from where you live, that can still be traveling depending on how you look at it. So we do kind of look and see, we have a free weekend. Where can we travel in a couple of hours and that we've never been before and go see something we've never seen? One weekend, we've been to Hoover Dam multiple times, but we had never done the tours. So earlier this year, we decided we're going to do the tour. We're going to go down inside the dam and see how it works. And that was such a really interesting thing to like be inside the dam wall.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think a lot of people, unless you love history or machinery or whatever, you probably would find that exciting. And I know influencer types probably wouldn't like it because there's not a whole lot of beautiful backdrop unless you're on top of the dam looking at Lake Mead or whatever. But it was really super interesting as far as just looking at everything. And it's a modern modern wonder, as far as what human achievement and building and engineering and all of that can be. So it was really fun to do. And again, is one of those things that was on our list for a very long time that we finally were just like the night before, we're going to go do this, and let's go down and just experience it. And if we take something away from it that we can share with people, that's awesome too. But really, these kind of trips also start out as just things that we want to do. And sometimes, our kids are older. Sometimes they get to tag along. I think our daughter was with us at Hoover Dam and other places. But sometimes it's just for us, right, which often turns into some of our best trips and things that we actually get to share with other people because really fun things happen.
Well, and I will admit, I was never a huge history person until I fell in love with you, and you have taught me to appreciate learning the history behind these kind of things.
So sweet and sentimental now, looking back. Come on, tighten up there. Guys, the Unscaled Travel Show, we're looking at our travel year in review. Keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. We're looking at our year in travel review, basically. That didn't make any sense.
That didn't make sense.
That didn't make sense at all.
Rephrase that.
We're looking at our year in travel, just kind of reviewing it, right? There you go. That made less sense. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
We're talking about all kinds of... we took a bunch of trips this year, and that's part of our jobs. We do. And, we're kind of looking back on some of our favorite places and maybe even things we've learned and experienced along the way.
Yeah, I mean, we both travel together because we enjoy it, but we both also travel because it's part of what we do for our day-to-day. And you went on several trips without me, some internationally, some within the U.S., and then you even went on a couple of kind of guys trips, hiking trips, those things that I don't really enjoy with one of your buddies.
Sure.
I think between all of those trips you went on without me, it was almost like 8 or 9. There were quite a few. So tell me, of all the trips that you went on without me this year, which one was your favorite?
Oh, man, that's hard. That's really hard. Let's see. As a travel journalist, I often get invited on press trips and what they call fam trips, familiarization trips. So you can get to know an area, especially an area you've never gone to, so you can write about it, pitch stories, things like that. And I got to go on a few of those trips. I'm thinking just I'm stalling.
I know.
I'm thinking off the top of my head here. I got to go with the wonderful people at Visit Alberta in Canada, visit Williamsburg in Virginia, which personally nerding out. Wonderful people in Detroit, and also down in Texas for Visit Corpus Christi. So those wonderful people. And then, John and I took some trips early this year with Visit Coastal Mississippi and the Smoky Mountain National Park area. So
let me guess. Well, so the trip I think you enjoyed the most because you still talk about it is Williamsburg.
Yeah.
You
probably
still talk about Williamsburg. So from my perspective, that was your favorite trip you went on this year.
Probably Williamsburg.
Which I have to say, surprising.
Again,
it's not.
really?
It's not because you do love history and it's a very history focused. But of all the places you went, just that Williamsburg, Virginia, would be the one that you talked about the most.
Williamsburg had a nice mix of everything. One, I was surprised, I guess, a little bit because we're on the West Coast and everything. we don't hear about it as often, but Williamsburg, and what they're better known for is Colonial Williamsburg, is so extremely popular. It is an extremely popular place to visit. I'm sure if you grew up on the East Coast, you know all about Colonial Williamsburg, and they have an area within town where it is perpetually the 1700s or earlier. I mean, because you're talking about the historic, what they call the historic triangle, Williamsburg, Jamestown, and Yorktown, right? All of those areas are foundational in the, I guess, founding of the United States and everything. So big battles and, Civil War and all this stuff. So for me, who loves history, and also it's beautiful. It's a beautiful area. And then the people at Visit Williamsburg, they just welcomed me in and were so wonderful to just meet. All of that to me equals a really great trip, and turned out to be, I would probably say very close. I do got to give a shout out to my folks and at Visit Corpus Christi. Got to always rep Texas, where we spent a lot of formative years, and also my friends in Canada too, because they were that was probably the Canada trip with the group of journalists there and the reps was probably one of the funnest just on that basis. Just getting to know people was probably one of the most fun trips I've been on. But I would say overall, if I have to choose one, which you're just staring at me now, I would say Williamsburg because of the Colonial Williamsburg, but also all the battle monuments from Yorktown, which you're talking the American Revolution, and then go and explore the fort at Jamestown, which you're talking about the first, one of the first successful cities and settlements in the United States. Yeah, see, I'm already nerding out, man. Let's go. Let's talk about Williamsburg, man. Let's just do that for the next half of this episode.
Well, okay. So you mentioned Canada, and that is a trip that I was a little bit jealous I wasn't getting to go on. And again, you did not have great weather while you were there, but you got to do something that was really cool and stay in one of those glass ceiling domes to see, the stars and potentially the northern lights, because that's when everybody could see them pretty much everywhere. And
subtle foreshadowing here.
Did you get to see any beautiful galaxies?
I got to see clouds. I got to see a lot of clouds. Yeah, man. They brought us to Métis Crossing. The Métis people are an indigenous group in Canada. They have a nice long history and sort of a tragic history, much like the natives here in the United States with their own government and everything. But they've, over the years, rebuilt their culture. They're rebuilding their culture, rebuilding their people from the inside. And Métis Crossing is one of these areas that you go to really reconnect. And that's their whole thing, is just reconnecting you with nature, with, everything around it. They also have animal experiences and things like that. They keep animals like buffalo, bison, whatever on their land. And so it kind of is a little bit of everything, but the sky domes is specifically what you mentioned, and they're really cool. It's the first time, I'm sure if you've been on TikTok or whatever, you've seen people staying in these sky domes. Sometimes it's the ones like in Norway or Sweden where they're buried in snow. This was not the case. But even though I didn't get to see the Northern Lights, it was still beautiful to wake up at like 3 a.m. and just be looking at the sky and seeing stars, and the moon was so big and just lighting everything up. It was wonderful.
Do you remember calling me and you're like, it is so bright in this room and I don't know why? And I was like, could it possibly be the moon? You were like, no, there's no way the moon's that bright. And I was like, why don't you look outside? And it was the moon.
I thought I forgot to turn off a light in this like little dome, and I was searching for it, and the sky was so bright. The moon was so bright that I was just like, oh, wow. And I just stood there and was just staring at the sky. It's like I'd never seen it before. That's beautiful. I love it. Métis Crossing. This is the Unscaled Travel Show. Keep it right here. We're going to have more. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. Remember, for all of our past interviews and episodes, check us out, fullmetaltraveler.com. If the dullness of winter or just everyday life has you longing for warm beaches and sunny weather like I often do, perhaps you've always wanted to visit a beach in a faraway destination, or maybe you'd like to explore some beaches closer to your hometown. Well, you're in luck. Lonely Planet has a brand new guidebook out entitled Best Beaches, 100 of the World's Most Incredible Beaches. This is the perfect guide for anyone looking for the most exceptional and unexpected beaches around the globe. And it's all backed by, strenuous research from their panel of experts. And one of those experts joins us today, Chris Zier from Lonely Planet. How you doing today, Chris?
Mate, I'm really, really good. I'm like dialing in from like 102 degree Melbourne weather down in Australia. So I think I'm appropriately positioned to be talking about the best beaches in the world. And I feel like I should be doing this interview in my boardies or my budgies or my board shorts or my Speedos. Or maybe that's too much.
You know what? I think the prerequisite for this interview was both of us should be in Speedos and probably just standing on your front porch because it's so hot down there.
Yeah, I said, I've got industrial strength fans like blowing all around my house at the moment. It's going to be hot.
I thought you were going a different direction with that. I thought you were going to be like, I got industrial strength Speedos. And I'm like, well, whatever you need, Chris, we will just abide by that. Well,
I'm just saying we are Australian, so it's the industrial strength everything. Have you seen the Hemsworths, man? We are cookie cutters.
I love it. Well, this is going to go off the rails. Let's focus on this book. Well, let's begin at the beginning. What inspired Lonely Planet to kind of create this book and specifically focus on the world's best beaches?
It's a really interesting question, and we kind of approach this as beaches that travelers would go to. So like at Lonely Planet, we're all about the traveler. We're always looking through the travel lens. And this for us was, we see a lot of lists about best beaches to go swimming or best beaches to go snorkeling. And we were like, well, what about these incredible beaches just to visit because they are either iconic or they're synonymous with a particular place or they've got incredible sunsets. We wanted to kind of add and look through that lens and understand, well, these are beaches worth putting on your travel itinerary. And so that became quite an exciting place to start the creation of this list because it becomes a lot broader in terms of where you can go. You can do super tropical, like big palm trees and white sands, but you can also go to like Arctic or Antarctic beaches or something that's like super cold. So you can really kind of vary it up. And it meant that the destinations that we were choosing from was much, much broader.
Well, I mean, you kind of touched on it a bit there, but can you share maybe some of the, criteria or factors that the panel considered when selecting the beaches that are featured? Because if you look through this guide, I mean, it's various. I mean, you got stuff from all over the world here. So what are some of those factors or maybe criteria?
Yeah, we kept coming back to that word best. Like, so what makes this a beach our best beach? And really every time it kind of came up, it was like, is it best because it has this amazing wildlife experience? Is it best because as I said before, it's got these incredible sunsets and you definitely want to have that experience? Is it best because you need to do a 3-hour hike to get there, but then you're rewarded with these spectacular views and this incredible experience? So we kind of continue to like look through that as a criteria and ask ourselves every single time is, why is this the kind of best in category? We like the word incredible as well. So like, what makes this like an incredible beach? Is it like spectacular scenery? Is it the way the beach is actually shaped? Is it the fact that you have to walk 22 miles from one end of the beach to the other? Like, what makes it an incredible experience? And then that third criteria being, why should you put it on your travel list? So why should it be part of your travel itinerary or your travel plan? And we did start out with something like 500 beaches to start with in a big, horrible Google Doc. and with lots of editors and authors going kind of justifying and making kind of saying, these are the reasons why we think this beach should be included.
How does one narrow that down? I mean, I'm sure you were just mentioning it. There were so many to choose from.
Yeah, I think what it ended up coming down to, and this really happened towards the end as we were getting into the nitty gritty of like what are the top 100, was actually what makes this a travel experience. So again, it was kind of like, why would you go out of your way to go here and have an experience? And again, not necessarily that that's just about swimming, but it may be about hiking, and maybe about this is a great place to just sit with the kids and have a picnic. Like, it's like, so what is the experience that you would have there? And so therefore it didn't become about beachy beaches, if that makes sense. It became about beaches where you would have a really, really amazing experience. And that then made it kind of obvious that these were the top 100. But then we got to the very end, and some came out and some came in and some came out. There was a lot of debate towards the end, which I think is healthy and really exciting. And lists should, I think, provoke debate as well, and provoke and start conversations about, oh, why did they pick this one and not this one? Like, even though they might be like, 10 miles apart.
We're speaking with Chris Zier, Lonely Planet expert. How do you guys envision your readers using this book? And it's labeled as a travel guide, but is it also a source of inspiration, or maybe a little bit of both?
Yeah, we actually put it in more of that kind of coffee table kind of format, because the photography when we were sourcing it was just so lush. It was so beautiful that we were like, it's actually a lot of this photography is doing the heavy lifting for us. So we want to make this into kind of more of a large inspirational title that sits in people's homes that you can kind of pick up and peruse and browse at any particular time. But it does still have practical travel advice. So it does have information on how to get there, what to do when you're there. And the other bit that I love is we've talked to locals and they've given us their little tips of what to do when you're there, like avoid this time, go now. So we've actually had, that proper Lonely Planet know-how is kind of in there as well. But I probably see it more as an inspirational piece rather than a real practical, I would take this with me. But we hope that it kind of like inspires, and, when we get to winters on our parts of the world, like you can go to best beaches on your bookshelf and start to kind of go, oh, I want to be there.
Well, you touched on it right there. I mean, given the dynamic nature of travel destinations and how, rapidly information can change, how did you ensure that the information provided in the book is current and relevant for readers? And is this going to be a yearly updated book, or is this maybe a one-off, or how do you see it going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we wanted to make this one quite evergreen because we put it in that kind of coffee table format. So actually, and it's like a slightly higher RRP, recommended retail price on it, and all that sort of stuff as well. So we needed to make the content a little bit more evergreen, and hence why speaking to locals about like little tips and bits and pieces made it really relevant. But what I'm quite excited about is we've had such positive reviews and such positive feedback on this product. We're already thinking about regional versions. So we're thinking about Best Beaches USA, Best Beaches Australia. Like, we're already kind of thinking like, actually there's a real appetite for this kind of content, and a real appetite for looking at beaches through a different kind of lens. And I know that I've said that a lot, but I think that's what's been really interesting to us is people have really gravitated towards that. And they love the fact that it's kind of like, well, I'm not necessarily a swimmer, so why would I look at beaches? But I'm a traveler. Beaches can become part of my travel experience. So I really love that we're kind of challenging the way that people kind of think about these spaces and places as well.
Chris, if people want to find the book, where can they find it? And if they want to follow along with you, because you have one of the toughest jobs in the world by far, where can they find you? How can they keep up with you?
Yeah, so definitely jump onto lonelyplanet.com. That's where we put all our kind of current advice. If you'd love to, source this book as a gift or for yourself, it's available where all books are sold. And we also have a shop on lonelyplanet.com, so feel free to jump on there and check it out.
That's it, Chris. Thank you so much for your time, man. I got to get you back in your Speedo and back on those beaches and doing the hard work that we all dream about, bro.
I am going to get my industrial strength Speedos on and get cracking out there in the 102-degree heat.
Keep it right here. This is the Unscaled Travel Show. After the break, we're going to have more.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Thank you so much, Chris and Lonely Planet, for allowing us to chat about the best beaches in the world. I'm telling you, that interview was from earlier this year, and it remains one of our most popular. And their book, you should absolutely pick it up. But who doesn't love to dream about beaches, white sandy beaches, and beautiful, waters? And I want to be there right now, man. What are you talking about? But
yeah, I mean, we did go to Eagle Beach in Aruba, which is considered by many people one of the best beaches in the world, and it was very nice. We had a great time in Aruba, but we did run into a couple of challenges while we were there. But that's not unusual for us, and I think if people are honest about their travel, a lot of people do run into challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily like it ruined your travel experience, but things that made it less than wonderful. So I have a few things in my mind, but there were a couple of things that happened to us throughout the year. And I'm wondering, from your point of view, like which of those travel challenges still sticks with you?
There's a few different ones because of our line of work and everything, because of, I am a travel journalist and you travel for your day job, and then we travel together. So there's all kinds of different experiences. The one for a professional standpoint that stands out to me is sometimes going on press trips. And I went on one particular one, and I don't want to say who, because I'm not particularly calling them out, like the travel destination, but it was a press trip where almost everything on the list that I was going to go and experience, or people I was going to talk to for interviews, almost all of them canceled or just didn't happen. And so I was left for a weekend on this trip, just kind of having to fend for myself. It was a solo trip, and just really getting to experience some of the things, but not everything, and not getting to speak to everyone I wanted to speak with to make a cohesive story, which presents, as when you're working, a real challenge.
Right.
And it's one of those things that sometimes you just, again, like, I guess the name of this episode could be just going with the flow,
right.
Because there's nothing you can do sometimes, and you just have to stick it out, and you can't just sit in the hotel room. So you just have to go out and find things, and I don't know, be a journalist. I don't know, almost.
Well, in your defense, you didn't pre-research the area other than the things you were told you were going to be doing. So when all that fell through, you were kind of at a loss for, what am I supposed to do now? Because everything I was supposed to do is not happening.
Yeah, thanks for calling me out a little bit. Yeah, you're right. I didn't do enough.
I'm really not calling you out. I'm saying I totally understand why you were a little bit like, okay, well, what now? Because you had a planned itinerary, and then you got there and it was all like, oh yeah, 7 of these 8 things are not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, just going out on the fly. You have to just do things on the fly and just look up, Google, Reddit, all the different sources that you have, on your phone, and just kind of like, okay, let me find some restaurants. Let me find some interesting things to do beyond just the things that people always list, because, they just copy the same things from list to list to list. So you have to go find something different. What is that different angle going to be? And go out and make your own little trip and own little thing. So you can go back to people and report to people like, this is what's happening here.
Right.
This is why this place should be on your list to travel to.
Right.
So same with you. I mean, when we look at personal experiences, our travels together, is there anything that kind of stands out that was a challenge?
Yes, there were a couple, but I would say the one that probably stands out the most was our trip to Los Angeles. We did research what hotels to stay at, and we picked a hotel in a hotel chain that we're fairly loyal to. Like, if there's a hotel in this chain where we're going, we usually look there first. And so we booked a hotel that had really great reviews. It's on us that we didn't do more research, but basically this hotel had multiple floors of nightclubs in it. It was a nightclub with some sleeping rooms on various floors.
Yeah.
And when you're going there to sleep, it was very difficult to get rest. So I would say that's on us for not doing more research as to the type of hotel this was, because it was not the hotel brand that we usually stay at. It was one of their other newer brands.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that that's the vibe.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're being very PC about it. I'll just say it. Look, the Moxie, the Moxie group of hotels, you know, and I think that's Marriott Bonvoy. Nothing wrong with Marriott Bonvoy if that's the travel team that you go with or whatever, but the Moxie. So I got to go to, last year, I got to go to Houston, and we just so happened to be staying at the Moxie, which was their grand opening day. Literally, I was the second person to check into this hotel in Houston. Okay. I thought it was weird then because it was right next door to a club, and until like 2:00 in the morning, the club music was doom, 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 doom. Whatever. If that's your scene, cool. That was probably me years ago. Not me anymore, right? And I was like, well, that's kind of inconvenient, but for the most part, it's still a nice place, and the staff was friendly and everything. Do it again in LA. Yeah, you're right. That's on me. But the Moxie has a certain brand. They're going for young, hip, cool. You want to be in the scene,
right,
or whatever those words are. In fact, on my trip to Canada and Banff, when we were driving by, I saw a Moxie hotel, and I was like, that, I hope, is not what we're saying, because I understand what their brand is now. That is not me.
Right.
And if willingly, if I have a choice, the Moxie is not going to be the brand of hotel I stay at.
We are not their target audience.
I am not.
We fully know that now. We did not know that until
we were trying to sleep, and my chest was vibrating from the club music that was multiple floors down from us. That was like, I knew right then.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good on this.
I completely agree. But I mean, we did have some other travel mishaps coming back from Switzerland. We, our connecting flight in Iceland was delayed.
Yeah.
And we were coming to Denver, and then from Denver flying to Vegas, and we ended up missing our flight in Denver and having to sit in the airport for another 4 or 5 hours after already traveling for 12 hours.
That was definitely on me.
That was a long day.
As when you come from the place like Las Vegas, weirdly enough, like there's not a whole lot of direct flights. A lot of times there's connecting. Like even if you're going to Miami, sometimes you connect in Denver and things like that. There's not a whole lot of straight through nonstop flights. This was one of those cases. We were coming back from, Switzerland, stopping through Iceland, but we have to connect in Denver. And I made the classic mistake of looking at a very tight turnaround. And I underestimated or overestimated something wrong there, and going, oh, we'll be able to make this 7:30 flight if we land at 6, but not counting for a delay and baggage, and just how horrible Frontier Airlines is. Oh my God.
You're calling them out. Okay.
Oh, no, it's not calling them out. They know they're garbage. Okay. They go before Congress and admit how garbage they are. Okay. They're just a garbage airline who I don't want to fly unless I absolutely have to.
Right. And we had to.
They are the least helpful people. They could really not care less. The lady who double booked our tickets, like charged us double and everything. And all she cared about was just making the sale and getting us out of her way. When we had to go back, because there's no way this is going to happen. We were looking at something that was funny on our tickets, and the other people, like her managers and the people there, were so amazed at how much she messed up our rebooked tickets that they couldn't even figure it out. It was like a 30-minute ordeal to fix what this lady who was standing right beside him had just done.
Yeah. When you get sent to customer assistance and the customer assistant screws up your reservation Frontier even more, that was frustrating.
I know they're not going to sponsor this show. So you know what? Whatever, dude. You're garbage, Frontier. So much.
But you know what? That was still, again, that was coming back from Switzerland, which I still consider my favorite trip of the year.
Yeah. It couldn't damper. It was a huge inconvenience.
We still made it home that day.
That was caused by me.
We made it home before midnight. We'll put it that way.
It was caused by me. We still got home the same day, and we got there safe. So, I mean, whatever on that. But I will say that. But for the year, looking at all of our trips, looking at how much fun we had, it was still a really good year in travel. We hope you had a wonderful year in travel. We hope you learned things. We hope you tried a new restaurant or two. And we hope that you just really got out there and started, living your best life, man. And if not, maybe this next season coming up real quick, is there anywhere on the travel list?
I want to go to Iceland now. We stopped in. The volcano is exploding. I want to go back and I want to see it in person.
I want to see some of the best beaches in the world. Let's do it together, right? Unscaled Travel Show. We'll see you guys next time.